What's up?
Oh, in Black America, I've had so many things to deal with this administration since she's been doing. What did she say? She's been a reporter,
For
a
20
journalist for 21 years, and she's yet to see anything like this. And
Right.
just the disrespectful, condescending manner in which President Trump told her to sit down
Oh
when
Lord.
she simply tried to ask a pertinent question pertaining to the topic of elections with voter suppression. Uh, a lot of that going on right here in North Carolina, as well as other states across the country.
Right.
And she felt disrespected, to say the least. But, you know, Omarosa at one point wanted to have fisticuffs with her earlier during during one of the press conferences when he first got in, early on in some of his press conferences. Spicer had some attitudinal things to say. So, you know, it's this president, this administration is something else.
So what do you think about the whole voting or post-election results? What do you think about
Well, I mean,
Roland Martin going off on the Black conscious community? That's
Roland Martin is ridiculous. Roland Martin is ridiculous. I took it personal, as anyone else would take it personal. It's one thing, our ancestors died for us to have the right to vote or not
to.
to have the right to vote. And quite frankly, if we could go back in a time machine and take our ancestors and bring them forward to see what was going on today, a lot of them would probably be disgusted. But if you want to vote, and proponents of not voting in the Black community has always been Dr. Claude Anderson, Tariq, men like myself. Voting is important, but voting is even more important for Black America to ensure that our so-called stalwart institutions
Right.
are on the same page, i.e., the Congressional Black Caucus, the NAACP, the National Urban League, none of which seem to be on the same page.
Right.
You know, we get knocks in the Black community on our demographic not being unified like other ethnic groups. And our so-called leadership within our demographic, they're not even on the same page.
Right.
If the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus and the National Urban League and Al Sharpton Action Network and Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference all sat down and agreed to move in one accord,
Right.
maybe the Black community now could move in one accord and have an agenda.
That's true.
So now when we go to the polls, you can have our vote if you do
What we want.
1, 2, 3, and A, B, C.
Yeah.
But all we have to do is go back and look at our history decade after decade after decade. The Black community, about 50 million of us in this country, we make up about 13.5 to 15% when you look at some of these institutions that track this type of stuff.
Right.
And decade after decade, the Black demographic continues to be overall the permanent underclass in finance, in education construct, in the justice system. So for Roland Martin to say people who advocate don't vote unless
Right.
you do so-and-so, to refer to men and women like us as stupid and
yeah.
idiots, you could flip that coin around and easily say, let me see. We continue to be the permanent underclass in
Right.
practically every key component in society, and yet we continue to vote. Maybe the people who continue to vote and get nothing for nothing, maybe they're stupid.
Right.
Maybe they're the dumbass idiots. You ever think about that, Roland?
Exactly.
Most of the people who are promoting don't vote, it's not don't vote, period. It's don't vote unless.
He was talking about you could vote for judges, you could vote for this and that. You don't really have to only vote for senators, which is understandable.
I've understand voting at the local level per se, but even with that, and I've had these thoughts even before Cynthia G or Dr. Claude Anderson or Tariq, it still has to be a unified, powerful agenda, even at the local level.
That's true.
Because a lot of these police shootings, as Cynthia G brought out, and I agree with her, that's something that's done at your quote unquote local municipality. And the fact that most of American cities, a large percentage of American urban cities have black police chiefs, have black local attorney generals.
That is true.
Or district attorneys, excuse me.
Right.
And nothing still seems to be able to be done.
I'm telling you.
A lot of major cities in America have 50% of the city councilmen are black, and we still don't seem to gain any ground. That's just one example. And then our underfunded schools, you name it.
Why do you think that is? You have a lot of city councilmen as black people, yet and still you have poverty. You have racial cops killing people. You have all sorts of problems, and nothing is being fixed on that level. Why is that happening?
I was watching Black Issues Forum, like I do, which is a platform here in North Carolina. I think it's produced on our PBS stations here in North Carolina, and I think it comes from Winston-Salem or Durham. And I watch it every Sunday, and they talk about various topics in our community. And I think last week they were talking about public monies, tax monies, and so forth,
right,
with black businesses in the community of Raleigh-Durham area.
Okay.
And McCants Publications or Communications, I think he's a major player, black-owned communications business. He's a major player within that municipality in the private sector, or making sure, trying to generate funds and manipulate as best he can monies that are collected publicly to help businesses.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, $900 million was raised within a period of time through taxes and other things that go toward helping promote and businesses within the city.
Is it a loan situation?
I'm not sure, but somehow $900 million is accrued, and this money is to be utilized
tax
to help
breaks and stuff,
so forth, to be utilized for businesses.
Right.
And he said, with a very sad face, $13 million out of $900 million, if I'm not mistaken, is what was allocated toward black businesses. 13 million out of 900.
Wow. That is just pathetic.
But keep voting.
You know.
I mean, so that's in the financial economic sector.
Right.
Which affects schools. Again, Cynthia G brought up the voting at the local level, with police officers are shooting unarmed black men and women and children. And not even batting an eye. Now, we had a black president with not one, but two black attorney generals during his administration.
Wow.
And what really got accomplished, Benjamin Crump, and you check me if I'm wrong, but Benjamin Crump has been the
advocate,
the man in legal terms of the lawyer to get this straight.
Right.
In every single one of these major profile on a national, and they seem to be happening every other week. Has he won one case yet? Has he won one case?
No, but it used to be Al Sharpton that used to take on all these legal situations where a black person gets killed in the city, and next thing you see,
Al Sharpton could put
But now
some community pressure, if you will, on some situations at times in these hot pockets.
But now it's Benjamin Crump. It seems like
Benjamin
he's
Crump
everywhere.
hasn't. I don't believe he's won one case.
No, he hasn't. Not that
I
I
do
know
not
of.
believe. Now he he helps the victim get a check.
Right.
That's all we've seen
Like
to
a
be.
settlement.
You know,
the victim families and stuff. Yeah.
Your black father's been killed, a husband, and so
Right.
forth, and then and there've been some women who've been murdered in cold blood. We'll get a check, and the officer, the white officer who shot him,
Gets fired.
gets hardly no consequences at
Paid
all.
leave. Most of the time they start them off with like a paid
They still
leave.
remain on the force.
Yeah.
There's no real serious consequences for the white officers. So again, we got all of these things going on in the black community. And for Roland Martin to quote unquote come out and take a stab at the conscious community, you would have thought
Right.
he would have learned his damn lesson when Dr. Umar Johnson cleaned his damn clock and all of the people he had on the panel.
Yeah.
It was 1 against 4,
Right.
and Dr. Umar Johnson whooped their asses.
He told them up.
So you would think he
told
would
them
shut
up.
up by now, learn something.
But,
But
you know,
anyway,
it's so okay. Let's talk about solutions with this whole boycott of the elections. As far as what Cynthia G and Tariq and some of the other guys in the conscious community were saying, they were basically saying, if we could hold off the next election, you could present an agenda and say, look, let's say we didn't get 50% of the black community to vote. Now, with this next election, here's the agenda we want, and which party is going to do this for us? We're going to turn out and vote for you.
well, again, that's a big if.
Right.
Like I say, the reason why I call it Empowerment for Tomorrow, my platform, I sure as hell can't call it Empowerment for Today, because we've got too many black people in our community who have been dumbed down through various ways and means.
It's just
the brainwashing and psychological damage has been done. That's why it's called a consciousness community,
right.
because if anything, it's always been the job of the conscious community to try to get the masses in our community to just think,
Right.
to just think for once in your damn life. Think about what we may need to change since 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,
100.
70, 80.
100.
We are still in the same situation in so many of our key components of our society. We still, as Tom Burrell says, the brainwash, occupy the #1 slot of just about everything bad.
That's crazy. But you know
For
what?
decades.
Let's jump into Africa. We're going to talk briefly about this and close. But there's a big push right now. And as far as the Ghanaian president, they have this thing where next year is supposed to be the year of return for a lot of black people in the diaspora all over the world, really not just the United States, to return to Africa. My problem with that situation, and I mean, it's not even a problem. The Ghanaian president, he's all over the place. 1 minute he's with the French president, and he's talking about changing his country into a francophone country, which means French is gonna be the national language. Next minute he's jumping with the British prime minister or the royal family, talking about something else. I don't trust that Ghanaian president at all at this point. It's a good idea, but what I heard was that whole initiative, the year of return, was really a United States government initiative. Then you have people like Bill Gates talking about population control, and their focus is on Africa. Why can't they focus on China and Asia? China has way more people. India has way more people when you really combine the population than Africa. Why are they so focused on getting rid of black people?
Seems like to me, and you've been able to be on both sides. You are African and you've lived in America. I'm a black American, not African American. I was born here in this country. But it seems like to me, throughout the diaspora, whenever you just simply talk about black empowerment,
Right.
I don't know what it is in this country and around the world. Malema, I love Malema. He's one of the few voices in Africa at the leadership level
Right.
who is saying, what about doing things we need to do to empower ourselves for once in our lives? For centuries, our continent and our countries within the continent have been raped by colonizers for centuries.
I'm gonna ask you a quick question. Malema is from South Africa, correct?
I think so, and he's probably going to be, should be the next South African president.
But listen to this. Did you know that they have 13 Chinese police stations
Yeah, I saw the video
South
on
Africa?
That. And how can that be?
And the whistleblower,
How can that
the
have been
whistleblower was not Malema. That information came onto the internet from some unknown source.
Why does African leadership continue to allow non-African people to dictate their fortunes? And
It's bad leadership. It's bad
that's why I
leadership.
believe it.
But with Africa, again, I think Africa is a good place for black people to first visit. Visit first. Do your research. Visit first. Secondly,
Yeah, we'll probably be taking a trip to South Africa next year.
Secondly, after you visit, before you can start talking about buying a house and all this extra stuff, do your research, visit first, and after that, before you can start talking about moving there. Do not talk about moving to Africa if you haven't even visited the place or done research to know which country is going to be the best country for you and your family. Do not just pick up and move anywhere without doing research. So we're going to leave it on that note. Thank you, guys. It's been great. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it. Check out empft.org. Check out blackamericastar.com. Make sure to get my new album, Carnival, and it's on mrpellc.com/carnival. With that being said, have a great day. Peace.
And then that'll be played on, you can play that anywhere, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever.